Three, two, one, and we are back with another episode of Mr. Big Mouth. I have a guest here, Mr. Klassik Poet in the house.
What's going on, James? Thank you for having me.
Well, tell everybody who you are, what you do, why you're sitting here.
I'm Klassik Poet. I am a recording artist in the genre of hip hop. I am here today to talk about my new album, Somewhere in the Gray Area, which has just recently been released, but the method in which we released it has been the subject of great discourse in hip-hop and in music and just the climate of where we're going, and that's direct-to-consumer platform.
Amen. I love that. I've been thinking about that, handing like USB sticks to people with your shit on it. You know what I'm saying? And because, as wonderful as the technology is in the streaming, there's no money there. There's no money. Oh, you get a half a penny for a stream. It was Snoop Dogg with like 40 billion downloads. He's like, I got $1 million for that. You're like, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
If he's not making any money, can you imagine an artist on the come up or just, getting out there? And it's impossible. So explain to everyone, this controversial direct-to-consumer, what exactly are you doing? How are you distributing it to the consumer?
So right now I have Somewhere in the Gray Area through Even, and Even is a brand new direct-to-consumer platform. But I want to give a shout out to like Bandcamp and all of these platforms that were direct-to-consumer before this new awareness of it has been. And so Even allows me to put my music up. It allows my most devout supporters to purchase it off me directly. Instead of paying a subscription fee to, Spotify, Apple Music, and in turn, not only get offline and online ownership of the album, which means you could play it at any time, you get extra incentives and extra additional content. So my album comes with a music video that's not on YouTube or any of these other platforms. You get an exclusive music video that was made by me and my small team. You get visuals, maybe up I want to say like a minute or two visuals of me in the studio recording certain tracks that you are listening to on the album. So you get the immersive like in studio experience. If anyone, and I've never really done this before in my career, give people that insider. So if you ever want to see the making of, the behind the scenes shot, you now have access to see me down in Savannah, Georgia, where I recorded some of the album. And then lastly, there's a song on there, Escalators Part 2 Remix. I just dropped that song. It's the first single off the album. That music video is actually on YouTube. But
you're dropping clips on Instagram. I think I saw you dropping.
Yes.
Yep.
You were able to see the clips of the music video. The full video again is out on YouTube. But the title, Escalators Part 2 Remix. I'm sure people see the track list and they're like, "There's not a first Escalators." I'm not sure if I've heard the first Escalators. Where's that? Well, the answer to that is when you buy Somewhere in the Gray Area off of Even, you now get access to a PDF link that sends you directly to Escalators Part 1. I recorded Escalators Part 1. How long ago was 2019 now? We're in 2026, right?
7 years ago?
7 years ago.
Jesus.
So around 7 years ago, I recorded Escalators Part 1. That was originally supposed to be part of my first album at the time. It was just one of those things where I just couldn't find the right, I guess, feeling for it. I think it was a good song, but I think that just like, it just wasn't fitting the current space at where I was at. And I spent the next few years trying to revamp it, remold it, rewrite it, and just couldn't find it. But no, I didn't want to always give up on it. So I always kind of had it to the back burner knowing that maybe this will make sense.
Yeah.
Finally, me and my producer, shout out DCOS, we were able to sit down with it. I was able to show him the original version of it, but I was like, I kind of want you to take the original instrumental and I want you to put your twist on it. Like, I want you to reproduce the original instrumental that I have for this. He reproduced it. I ended up finding new lyrics for it, and it all just finally gelled. But I wanted to call it Part 2-1 because I wanted to give an ode to Part 1 and to all the artists out there who feel like, oh, because I recorded this and years have passed and I've done nothing with it, that like it's dead in the water. No, there's ways for you to not give up on that beautiful idea you have, because that actually could be the idea. You just need to bake and you need to grow a little bit more. So that's why I wanted to call it Part 2, to let people know that there was a Part 1 and I never gave up on it. I just simply remixed it and put it out now. Right timing. And 2, because I'm a hip hop fan, man. I I'm somebody who listened to, Mobb Deep, Shook Ones Part 2, and always thought that was
and it comes out.
dope.
It comes out in your music too. I could hear the influence of where your music comes from. You're not the typical, the mainstream. Let's put it that way.
James, I would say I'm a real student.
Yeah,
and I think this particular album, more than any other album I think I put out, I think it conveys that pretty well, that I am very much a student of this game. I'm someone that has so much respect for the pioneers and the trailblazers that came before me, especially with us talking about the method in which I'm putting out my album and me kind of doing things outside of the norm and outside of traditionalism. I think that my respect for all these people who came before me, who dared to be different, is just something that just it means a lot to me. Of course. It means a whole lot.
And you know what it is too. Like I noticed with the younger artists, hip hop artists, what's been missing is that there's no mentorship. You have a love for the past, so that you see that comes out in your music. Absolutely. And you respect that, and you kind of use that as inspiration. But, in the last 5-6 years, everybody's recording albums in their house. They don't go in the studio. You don't sit around with, a producer, 3 artists, everybody kind of working together on one thing. And, and it kind of, it takes the oomph out of it, right? You know what I'm saying? And that's with your music, you hear the oomph. You hear the inspiration, and some of young cats, they don't have that inspiration. They don't, they don't know it. They just kind of jump into whatever the genre is when they get into it.
Absolutely.
And they don't look backwards, which I think is crazy because there's so much to learn from or at least to be inspired by.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it really flips up. And like I said, in the 90s, when I was coming up with the hip hop, it was everything. It was everything. There was there was party hip hop. There was, soulful hip hop. Mm-hmm. There was, socially conscious hip hop. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And for whatever you were feeling that day, that's what you threw on. Yeah. There is no Arrested. You remember Arrested Development?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no Arrested Development now.
Tennessee and all that.
Yeah.
But it's like you'll have them, and then on the flip side, you'll have like Wu-Tang Clan. You know what I'm saying? Which is just completely different sides of the spectrum. But you know what I mean? You found gems in every little bit of these sectors. And it's funny. I love that you mentioned the whole people don't lock in with a producer. Again, shout out my producer, D-Cos. I want to make sure that D-Cos, his name gets known and tied to this album the way he really is. Because, I sat down with just one producer for this whole album. Mm-hmm. So if you had the chance to listen to it, you hear a cohesiveness to the album. And that's the feedback I got. It's it's very cohesive. It feels like a movie and stuff like that. I was like, because my producer, we sat down together and we crafted every single song on this album. I think there's only one song on the entire album that he didn't produce, and even then I gave him the executive position to listen to it and see if he wanted to add his flair. He just was like, nah, this is dope. We don't want to touch this, but this fits well with what we've been doing. Another thing is, it wasn't the 2020s way of even interacting with people, because we have the access of social media, or we can just kind of text people or FaceTime people. There's a lot of producer-artist relationships, I think, that are just that. You know what I mean? I text you a beat, you do something to the beat, you send it back to me, whether it's a DM or a text. You guys are not actually getting on the phone. Or I'll do you one better. For my album, I actually traveled with my producer to record this. So we were actually in each other's presence for majority of the time that the principal recording of this album was done.
And that makes a difference. And it's crazy because what you're doing with the album is you're telling a story.
Yes.
Right? You're taking them on the ride, the journey. And like you said, the 2020s way of doing things. It's more like the instant gratification, one hit single, drop one song, stream. There's no storyline to it. There's no arc to it. Like you used to be able to sit down with an album and take the journey with the artist.
Yeah.
Right? Like you go in with the slow and then the heavy and then the, and the rhythmic and you come out and you're like, I remember I was 10 years old, 9 years young, sitting down with Thriller, the Michael Jackson album.
Yeah.
And I just went for the ride. And to this day, it's still in my head. You know, like that first night I sat down, opened up the vinyl, and I go, "Here we go."
That's dope.
Right? You know, it's crazy.
That's
you
dope.
know, like
I wish I was around. A part of me wishes I was around for that time, like Michael Jackson dropped Thriller for the first time. Not like, you know what I mean? We obviously we caught the same impact that you guys probably caught of it, but the initial like Michael just dropped this album, and you're opening up and you're seeing probably like the vinyl booklet of him with what's it?
the tiger,
Bubbles, the tiger, whatever.
Yeah, like, it's
the
crazy.
tiger.
It was just you know,
craziness.
I was little white kid walking around with a friggin' sequence glove, you know, at 9 years old.
Pandemonium.
Like, come on, let's go, you know, and it's true. It makes a difference, and like people like him, and I think Quincy Jones produced that from Quincy Jones, another classic producer.
And I love that I love that you're saying this because you got that feeling. I'm like, I think it's the story before the story. You know what I mean? So the reason that you could listen to a really good album and you can hear, yo, there's a story behind this. I'm just following the stories because behind that story is the story that they put together while making it. So, you know, Quincy Jones and Michael Jackson were in the studio together recording this. I had read something where like, and I don't know how true this is, but this is off of something that I read personally. They said that even during the recording of Thriller, like Michael and Quincy were kind of like bashing heads because Quincy thought maybe like they have reached their zenith with Off the Wall. Michael came with like all these new demos, and in these demos were like Billie Jean and Beat It and Wanna Be Starting Something. And like I remember reading that they say Quincy Jones, he didn't get Billie Jean. No. He didn't think it was gonna be a hit. He didn't understand the song. Yeah. And I heard him and Michael had like this little brief falling out. They didn't speak for like 2 weeks.
And that's good. That's healthy.
Because they were just at an impasse with that record. And finally, I guess, you know, Quincy was just kind of like, all right, fine. It's on you. Yeah. Like, you know, we're going to trust it. And, you know.
It worked.
But in turn, it was just something where it's just like, but Quincy wanted to put out like The Girl Is Mine as like the first single with Paul McCartney.
I saw that, yeah.
And I guess the compromise was like, all right, we'll put that out the first single. But the next single we're going to put out is the one I want, which is Billie Jean.
Yep.
So they put out the first single, the Girl Is Mine. You know, obviously the Paul McCartney, Michael Jackson coalition, you know. Yeah. For the look, for the pop charts, like that looked good.
Former Beatle and this guy, yep.
But that next single that came out,
that's what
changed everything. Changed everything for the trajectory of that album. But the story behind that, you know, God rest the dead. If you put those two in a room and was like the making of Thriller, they're telling that story. They're like, man, I didn't speak to Michael for weeks because he wanted that Billie Jean record on there, and Michael is over here. Like,
they were both right. They were both right. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you know, someone like a Quincy's he's a legend, right? You know, how are you going to say no to that guy? He's produced everybody. Sinatra. He came from all of it.
I just think the story is beautiful. I just think all of those little stories build the album. And I think in making my album, I wanted to have real life stories. So it wasn't just like when you're asking me, oh, how did this album come about? I'm not giving you like vague responses on how it came about. I could tell you we started my album out in Nashville, Tennessee. You know what I mean? We went to a second city. You know, we took it out of New York. We took it out of our comfort zone. It was blistering cold. My producer busted his ass when he met us outside on the snow. We went inside and, you know, we spent 8 hours recording like intentional records, then started throwing things against the wall on certain records. My producer put on more beats. You know, we had a dog in the studio because the engineer, shout out Adam, shout out Blue, rest in peace. You know, the dog was in the studio just giving us that energy. I had my wise man Obas. That's like my assistant. That's like my consigliere.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout him out. He was there. And it was just a beautiful moment. You know, I had my homie Peso Cashway is also a recording artist himself. He was in there. We were just, you know, throwing things against the wall. He got in the booth. He was freestyling. I got in the booth. I was freestyling. It was like an 8-hour fun work shift with a dog and just us being out in a different area. And then after that, we went and we explored Nashville and we got to see like the musical city that it is. Like no matter what restaurant we were eating that night, there was a live musical acts. You know, they had things called like Songwriting Mondays. I could tell you that a couple months later, we took the album down to Savannah, Georgia. Yep. and we were all through Atlanta and North Carolina. My producer lives in Savannah, Georgia. We stayed at his house for a few days. He booked out a studio session, and we continued the album there. Now we're in Georgia. We was in Nashville. Now we're in Georgia. We're experiencing just being out of these comfort zones and just having these moments. Me and my homie got on the road, and we drove, I don't know, like 17, 18 hours down there and back up to New York. So we were having the road trip experience as well as just being in these areas. So like all of that, when I'm thinking about my album, I'm thinking about those moments. That's why when you look at the album cover, you see a road, you see that I painted off the road in like a gray area to show that like we're doing things our way, you know, on top of me just being independent and me, putting up my own funds to make sure that this album is where it's supposed to be. All of that, when I'm when I'm pressing play on track 1 through track 14 on this, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about the stories behind the story. You know what I mean? The real life moments.
And that comes out in the music.
Yeah.
Right? So there's like that kind of run-of-the-mill kind of songs, which, God bless, you do music, but you could tell it's just kind of chop, 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 chop. But then when you have experiences, to be able to get out of your comfort zone, as they say, right?
Yes.
And go see, and like Nashville and Georgia, you know, a New Yorker looks at that and they go, oh, they're all Southern. But there's not. Yeah. Georgia's got a certain culture. Nashville's got a certain culture.
Beautiful music culture.
Beautiful music. Tennessee, I'm telling you, when I went to Nashville, like, and it was all over the place. It was country, it was soul, it was this, it was just musicians, and you're right, there's a great vibe there.
Think about it, James, and you know, you probably seen it being out in Nashville. We were just walking, and we casually looking over, and we see like the ASCAP building. Yeah. Or we see like the original, or you're just walking down a random neighborhood. You see in houses, and then suddenly you're looking to your right, and casually there's a building that says RCA Recordings. Yeah. It's like this is casually like the original RCA building. Yeah. I was like, but it's such a musical town like that it's just like it almost is like it just feels a little bit different than just New York. New York is still very grand, so you kind of know where you're at when you're at New York. You go up to a Times Square. You know you're at Times Square because like you see it. You don't necessarily know that you're in front of like these monumental places in Nashville. They're just kind of like casually right there.
Me and my wife got on the scooters in Nashville, and we were like those things you rent, and we're going around. And you're right, the RCA building. I was just going. I looked to my left and I go, that's the original RCA recording studio. I'm like, holy. There's nothing big about it. There's no grandiose thing sticking out. No,
if they took the logo away, you would just
think it's another building. Yeah, crazy, and it's a beautiful thing, and it's kind of low key, which is different than New York, because New York's all about being,
same with Los Angeles. Los Angeles, you know where you're at. Like
there's a big sign that says where you're at.
Literally, like Hollywood.
Got it.
Welcome.
Yeah, and I like traveling around as an artist and getting at what's his name. We had Dennis McDonald, the guy who played Reggie in Bad Boys. Oh, and he was on here about a month ago on one of our other podcasts.
He still look 30?
What?
He still look 30?
He still does. He's great. But he said something that was true. He's like you have to get out of your neighborhood. You have to go see the world. It's a big world, right? Like you're never going to progress in your artistry, your craft, if because you're comfortable. It's your family, it's your friends. They all love you. It's terrific, and that's great. But if you really want to really hone your craft, you need to go and get out and go listen to some country. And listen, I love all music, but for some reason, country music never. I don't know. I'm from Union City, New Jersey. It just wasn't around.
I mean, listen, I think I can speak for a lot of us too. It's just like
you come from New York, you're not listening to country music. It just is what it is. But when I went down there, I go, I get it now. Yeah, I get it. It's the storytelling. It's the whole culture, the vibe. And I was like, all right. And now listen to country music. And if I would have never left and not go down there, I'd still whatever. It's a country song. Who could always do Dolly Parton? I don't know. Yeah. But in those live performances, areas like I was seeing some bands down there that were good, man. Yeah, like recording quality good. Yeah, and they're just like a local band, like playing in the middle of a bar somewhere. I'm like.
The appreciation that they're getting, though, too, from the people, it's just such a authentic appreciation, too. Like, you know what I mean? Really, I think the simple fact that you have live bands coming in every night to do a show shows the appreciation between the customers that come in. You know what I mean? Because I just think it doesn't go down like that in a New York like that is because we're all like kind of just so fast paced and a little bit kind of like in this tunnel vision of like what we're doing. So like we don't even really sit down and eat the way they sit down and eat. Like they don't just go to a place on a Monday and just have a casual dinner like we was doing down there. Like we was, it was a Monday. I think when we first got down there, we're sitting down in this place and they just got music, live playing out the spot. And I just don't think you even do that in New York. I think you go in, you get your pizza, you get out. You know what I mean? So no one is worried about the performer that's like, right here, maybe performing for you, because it's just not appreciated the same way. But to your point of like, you got to leave your comfort zone. I think growth in music, and I'm going to use the word growth because the feedback that I've got off of my new album is just growth. That's the one word people have summed up. I think to achieve real growth in your music career is opening up your perspective. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's anybody who grows in music. I don't think there's anybody who has ever sustained a career in music that has not left their comfort zone and has studied the unknown and has taken that risk, even if that's leaving their own hometown. Now, you might blow in your hometown. Yeah. You might have that one hot record that just like, you've been here. Trust me, we got plenty of legends that, you know what I mean? Nas was in Queensbridge, that whole Illmatic. But you know what happened? Immediately after that, it's like, to sustain yourself, to grow, you have to evolve. And I think that like, even if you initially find that success in your backyard, I think in order for you to capitalize on that, to transcend, to build on that, you now have to go to limits in which you didn't know you can go to. And sometimes that's leaving the block. Yeah, it's leaving. That's leaving
real
everything.
Artists are going to do that. You're gonna go and find, because you got to remember what are you in this for, right? Everybody's got a different angle, right? You obviously sound like you're in it for the artistry.
Yes.
Right. You want to keep every album. You want to take it up another notch of expanding.
Yes.
Right. Some people do it for the money. God bless you. Do what you need to do. Make your money. But if you're in it for the artistry, you have to do that. You have to. You have to.
I think you'll stop finding things to express if you kind of, you know what I mean? You do things enough times, you know what I mean? Your music will start to become monotonous.
Yeah.
Your subject, and then people will just kind of start to feel like, well, this person doesn't seem like they're actually like getting wiser. They might be getting older, but it's just like he's talking about the same things. He seems like he's in the same area. So as the consumer is growing and he sees that the person that they once looked up to is kind of like on the same thing, you outgrow them. I think.
Well, that's why I always like, there's always this thing with, you have a band, they come out, their first album is a smash, right? And then their second album typically kind of dips. And it's not because the music or it's bad. It's because they expanded. They went out. They tried something different. Like, all right, I'm not going to do the same album again, right? So everybody fell in love with that first album. Like, I love all those songs. And then, but why'd you do that? Why'd you go to I was just watching Ray the other day, and Ray Charles came out, did his thing, and then he went off onto this like orchestral thing for a while.
Yeah.
Right? And everybody's like, I don't know. But that's his journey. You go, and he's letting you either come in with it. It's not that it's bad music.
No,
it's that you're opening up, and a lot of artists, you're open to it, but a lot of artists, they get that feedback like, oh no, I got to go back to what I know. I got to go back to what I know. And like, don't just own it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's good that you journey out. But I'm really interested to go back to where we were talking at the beginning, the direct to consumer, because you're not the first person. We shot a movie here yesterday, the director, independent director, and he's been distributing direct to consumer. He has a movie on Tubi, and he's like, but I made more money, and just got more exposure. I was literally handing out USBs with it and doing it, and he goes, there's nothing like hand to hand marketing.
There's nothing like it. And I want you to continue, because I know this might lead to a question that you're gonna ask me about it.
And I'm just wondering, how long you been doing it for now, like direct to consumer, like actually?
So this is actually my first go around with direct to consumer. This album release is the first time I've done it,
because it's what you're doing and what other people are doing like that, and you're going 100% against the grain here, right? Because you're competing with instant gratification. I drop something, I put it on 50 streaming services, you have it immediately, to you got to find me, I got to find you. You know what I'm saying? And you got to, what you're doing is I love it, but it's scary. it's scary. It's like, what do you mean I got to sell it on my own? You know, they've gotten so used to it. What has your experience been so far with this?
My experience so far with it has actually been very encouraging.
Yeah?
Yeah. So when we released my album, to really like roll it out, to announce it, I had my very first private listening party.
Okay.
And for the private listening party, we didn't blast it on social media. We didn't tell anyone that I was having a release party. We gave 50 people their own personal invitations. It was designed, it looked nice, it had their name on it. It invited those people to that. Those people then showed up, and when they walked into the spot, there was a QR code in which they was able to scan, and it brought them over to the Even link for them to purchase that album. So initially, it was a test to see my truest supporters, if I can get them in a room first off, to play this album for them, and then let them be the judge on if they want to move along and purchase this. But I did know that, you know, we were targeting the people that were receiving my music. So we studied the people that were engaging with me at all times, and we chose to feed them. You know what I mean? So we giving you a personal invitation to come to this and experiencing listening to my brand new album for the very first time, because you're that special to me. Yeah. You didn't have to stop anything in your life to be a supporter of me, but yet you 40 to 50 people are. So therefore, we want you to come through. Champagne's on us. The music's on us. The night's on us. You're going to listen to the album for the very first time. You guys will be the only people who have heard this album. No one else has heard it. Even when this releases in a couple days, it's going to be behind a paywall. So there's still going to be people that don't know. It's you guys. You know what I mean? And it was just because of that. I think because we gave them that experience, that when the album did release a couple days later through Even, I initially had people buying it. You know what I mean? Whether that was people who was at the private release party, and honestly, it was a lot of people that I think that was at this private release. They initially circle back and they bought it. Beautiful. And I just think that I found, you know, great successes because I chose to water the people who watered me. Yeah. You know, I think artists, a lot of the times, I think they're worried. I wouldn't say about the wrong things, because we always want to make sure that we're putting ourselves out to people who don't know us. Mm-hmm. I think we're not watering the flowers that we plant. You know what I mean? So I think that we often neglect the 10, 20 people that really, really, really rock with us, because we're worried about the 200,000 that don't know us yet.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
True.
True. The method I thought, it was like, if we continue to water these 10, 20 people, you know, if we can get something going, if we could start an ecosystem with them, then maybe those 10 people go and tell 5 people. And then suddenly 5 more people have joined on. And then those 5 people go and tell 10 more people. And then those 10 people have suddenly joined on.
It's the old school way of doing it. And I've been saying this behind the scenes to a lot of people recently. I think what happened with music and movies and art in general is, you know, social media, for as wonderful as it is and a great technology, at some point we let the tech companies steward the culture. Like, let them spearhead it.
Yep.
And we sat back because we were just so amazed by the technology. Like,
ooh,
wow.
I'm ready to have this conversation.
Yeah,
right
so
now.
am I. Because you know, and sometimes I'll say it in you know, not a politically correct way, but I'm going to say it. We let the nerds take over, and I love nerds. I do, I do. No hate on the nerds. I really do. I mean, by nerd, I mean specifically the tech companies, the social media companies. You let them, and look. We've always had TV and movies, and that always pushed culture around. But the difference is those didn't have algorithms in them. And they didn't create these like little hyper chambers of people. It just weirded everything out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, the technology is so awesome. But now I see it with you and other artists that are coming in here, myself. I'm like, screw this. We're the artists. We're the ones that should be pushing this forward. Yeah. You know, and some things are going to hit and some things are going to drop. But you said you want to have this conversation, so something's on your mind. What's going on?
When you was like just kind of like tech companies taking over, And, I just think that's just kind of like the sign of the times. I think it was inevitable that it was going to go that way. But I believe that they still have their place. I think they do.
Of course. No.
This is not a slight to them, but I think just kind of like the overall awareness of, what these tech companies actually are. I just think that we're now entering a period where like actual people are experiencing like just kind of burnout. You know what I mean? Man. I think that mixed with the oversaturation, the fact that everybody can put
it's not true connect. See, the problem is that it's not true connection. Like, like you're getting delivered certain things because an algorithm thinks you want to get delivered to certain things, right? That's not true connection. True connection is I see you, I meet you, you tell me about your album, you hit me up, oh, send me the link to go buy the album. That is it, right? But what goes on online, it gets all distorted because of all these things that are peeling it out. The point is, like I said, we let the tech companies steward culture, all culture. You know what I'm saying? All of it. I don't care where you're from, west, east, south, west. They jumped in and everything got distorted. And it's beautiful to see someone like you and others like you just kind of start going, you know what, I'm going to do it on my own. And I don't care because, you'll have all these people. You can't scale this. You can't sell to 20 million people. I don't want to send 20 million people.
No.
I want to send to 100. And if they like it, they'll tell another person. That'll be 200.
Yep.
And to make a good living, and that's what I keep saying here too, as an artist, we always look at the big, the biggies and the people that have made it and gone to the top.
Yes.
But you know what? There's a whole other level where you make a tremendously good living and you don't have to go that route and you can own everything. You have a agency in your work.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
So, you told me that you get the sense of me that it's like I do this for the craft. And absolutely, because not only will I love this so much, I would do this for free. I have done this for free. You know what I mean? This music career isn't easy, but also too, as I'm getting older, I'm learning tangible ways to go after what you just said. You know what I mean? If I get the accolades, if I get everything, if suddenly Klassik Poet blows completely up after this interview,
wonderful.
Then great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. But for me, it was always about getting that dream little townhouse that I always dream about. You know what I mean? I'm able to sustain that, and I'm able to start a little family, and knowing that my main source of income is stuff that I've put in through my craft. You know what I mean? That's the life. That doesn't have to be $20 million. No. That could be $200,000. And honestly, that's success. Somewhere in the Gray Area is an album about the journey between intention and destination.
Ooh,
a lot of us as artists are always so hyper fixated on that destination and that intention that we completely neglect the journey that we're going on. Yep. We're not happy on the journey. We think that happiness is on this other side of the destination. And we've seen so many other times of artists hitting that destination and realizing, damn, I'm still not happy, even though I have all of this and this and that third. Because if you really love this, then it's never about that destination. The destination is just that's the challenge. That's what keeps you going every day. Me knowing that I could hit even higher heights than heights that I'm hitting gives me something to go for every day.
You got to be goal oriented, sure. Yeah. But what those goals are and what you get from those goals, well, that's on you. Whatever makes you happy. Like you said, I want a townhouse.
I want, what I mean? I want, I want this to build, and I'm finding more tangible ways to do that. So it's like you said, it's like, hey, if I can do a show, you know what I mean? And I do this show and I know that I could bring in a confident 30 people into the show. If I could work these 30 people, if they love what I'm doing and they're pulling money out their pocket and they're telling this, then it's just like continuously feeding those people who are taking time out of their busy lives to support me and my business. That's, you know what I mean? And eventually you'll have so much of an ecosystem that you might have, like you said, 100, 200, 500, 1,000 solid people that are always willing to help your business, that are always giving to your business, and in turn, you're giving back to them. So it makes them want to give more, and it makes you want to give more because they're giving, and it's just a constant build. And next thing you know, you have that house you wanted. You're able to start that family. You're able to pay bills a little bit easier that you do, and you're just like, wow, this is off of the craft. So that's the gray area to me, where it's like I may not be the biggest the biggest name that's getting the most awareness, but I'm living my life based off what I want to do. It's like, is that not the dream at the end of the day?
That is the dream. And as a creative, that's exactly what you want, because then it relaxes you to go into other directions comfortably.
Yeah, then you can make the music you actually want to make. Now you're not at the grip of some label that's telling you, hey, we want pop music. We want or whatever it is. It's like, hey, we think you think you do this, or you're suddenly not chasing that hit. You're making exactly what you want to make. And it's like, the beauty of that is you're going to get that hit that you want because you're making what you want to make. And authenticity wins all the time.
Yep.
The biggest hit records are usually very, very authentic. It's usually the record that the labels are usually gonna veto or not gonna understand. And then that's gonna be the thing that blows. And suddenly that's gonna be the standard that they're gonna go and tell their artists, hey, you need to do like so-and-so because that was a hit, not knowing that he just going off his authentic impulse.
I was just watching the Queen movie the other day, and when they went to go sell Bohemian Rhapsody, and there's like a 13-minute opera rock song, they're like, you can't put that out. And he's like, you're damn right I'm putting it out. And it was their biggest album.
It's their biggest album.
It was their biggest album, like, you got to be able to push forward. And now, I know I knocked the tech people before, but like I said, there's a purpose there for them. You have the technology now to go do what you want to do, how you want to do it. It's a tool.
Yes.
Right? What's happened in the last 5 or 10 years is that tool became more than a tool. It was like we were using it to
somewhat of a control.
Like, well, Spotify only pays me half a penny a song, so I guess that's not it. I'm going to go sell it out in the streets. Screw that. I'm going to do it myself. But
I think they knew that. I think that, and like I said, I love that conversation even have, because as I got older, I got a little bit more privy to the streaming systems. I got album on streaming. Again, this isn't a knock to them. I think that you should still put your music everywhere. If you're an artist, you should always put your music everywhere there's a medium to put your music. What I'm saying is, what these tech companies did was they knew that there was a comfortability that got built between their relationship with the consumer. They knew that the consumer seen trust in them. Spotify, Apple Music, all of these things are no different than Heinz ketchup, Jif, Pepsi, reliables. You know what I mean? If somebody came to you with a new soda or a new line of a bottle of ketchup, us as people, even myself included, are going to be like, oh, what's this?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm used to getting, drinking Pepsi. You know what I mean? I don't want to drink this new cola that you said is out. It could be 10 times better. It could taste 10 times better.
Yeah.
But because that label says Pepsi, there's been enough trust built over decades that it's just like, I'm just going to be here because of comfortability.
Yeah.
So these labels and the tech companies, they understood that. So it's like, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to make our model more subscription based. Mm-hmm. We're going to make the consumer believe that they're supporting the artist by going straight to Spotify, going straight to Apple Music, going straight to these playlists, getting the songs or the album off of there. And it's like, hey, you have unlimited access to all music libraries for just $10.99 a month.
Yeah.
Now, the issue with that is, if you have any lapse in that, if you don't pay that $10.99 a month, all that music, everything, that library that you think is just so easy to go to, poof.
Goes away.
It's gone. It's gone. And on top of that, like you said, the consumer doesn't know that when they pay that $10.99, $11.99, whatever it is, you're just paying these tech companies. They're the ones who take all of that. They're the ones taking your $10.99 a month, and it's like, I want you guys to add that up times 12 months, by the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're paying $25 from me just once. Add that up and see what you're paying these streaming platforms.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? They take that knowing that they thinking they're supporting their favorite artists when really you're paying them $100 whatever dollars a year, and they're taking that money, they're collecting all of that, and then they're turning to the artist and they're like, hey, per every stream that you made off of this, here's this 1 penny. You guys find a way to split that like 700 ways.
Yeah.
We'll take the $10.99 over here and like we'll do that. So it's like, I want people to understand that when you do support these places, you're supporting Spotify, Apple Music, you're supporting these places more than you're supporting the artist. You're not really supporting the artist at all.
No.
The best way to support the artist is getting it directly off of them. And the reason I found modest success, I'm not saying I sold a boatload of albums right now off of Even, but what I'm saying is, for the people that support me, I've sold probably more than somebody at my level, I guess, would sells, because what I've seen is that I've explained this to people. I've explained why I have this behind a paywall as opposed to the traditional putting up on streaming platforms. And when I explain it to them, they're like,
oh yeah,
wow, I didn't even know. And that's crazy to think, right? Most people just don't know. It's not that they don't want to support you as an artist. It's not that
they're busy. They don't. It's easy. It's convenient.
It's easy. It's convenient. Like I said, there's trust in going straight to Apple Music or Spotify and just downloading your album off of there. It's just it's just easier navigation. But when your supporters understand that they're not supporting you, that they're paying these tech companies and these people that, quite frankly, don't really know or care about them, their mind opens up. You know what I mean? And
I'll tell you something. And it's not like you're the first, but you're revamping an old way of doing thing. And they always say the first ones through the wall are the bloodiest.
Yeah.
Right? You're the bloodiest. Like, you're going to go through it and you're going to, why?
Boss, was that conversation we was having before we came here where it's like going through that wall first, it's like you might get all the respect.
Yeah.
You may not get the you may not get the awareness,
all the bruises,
the accolation. But that goes back to me being a student of this. You know what I mean? I also, I'm the biggest fan of Jay-Z. Yeah. This is a guy who, in his day, the entire music industry told him he wasn't fit. He went to every single label and they told him, we don't see it. We don't see it. The streets is letting you. The streets was saying, "Oh, this is the illest rapper out right now." I'm telling you guys. The labels is over here like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
So you know what he does? He's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna start a label myself. I'm gonna do it myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone sees Jay-Z the billionaire right now. You know what I mean? They don't realize that this is the guy who, with his small team, his two partners, they started a label themselves, and that label didn't immediately spring up off the ground. Like, Rockefeller wasn't an overnight success. They didn't just, year after year, you seen them get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Until it catches back up. And now here we are, fast forward in 2026, and Jay-Z is usually number one on everyone's list. And as great as of a lyricist, as great as of a hit maker that Jay-Z is, I think the biggest reason he's at the top of a lot of people's lists is because of the way he did it. Same goes for a Master P. Yep. When I put out Somewhere in the Gray Area, I dedicated this to the trailblazers that decided to move in their gray area, which means create their own success and do things out of the traditional norm. So you have a Master P that by the time you get to a Make 'Em Say most people don't realize this is Master P's like 7th or 8th album. Yeah. Album, not mixtape, not full album. He put out his first album in like 91. You know what I mean? When no one relatively knew him, and he just knew that I'm just going to consistently raise my own capital and consistently put my own things out. So when it comes time to even do a deal with Priority, if they give me something that's not favorable to what I want, I could be like, okay, I still got this going on over here though. Yeah, I still got my fan base. I still got this. Now, Master P, for as financially and as much respect as he get, never got the accolation as the peers that was around him, even though he was doing the same amount, if not more numbers. If he, Jay-Z probably had more money than his counterparts in the mid 90s, but you know what? He didn't have the same type of adulation and accolation that they had, or awareness. So it's just like, you didn't look at him in that same way as you would look at like Big Nas, Mobb Deep, all these dudes right now, is because he's really was getting it out the mud himself. He was getting it out the trunk himself. So 8 Ball and MJG, a lot of people don't know the name of that. You got E40. You got Too Short. Shout out all those dudes from the Bay. It was something out there in the Bay where they were just super self-sufficient. Even up to current day, you got the Larry Junes of the world, like self-sufficient. Not everybody knows who Larry June is, but Larry June is living comfortably, probably more comfortably than a lot of artists that we do know, because he decided to go with his gray area, which means I'm going to create the success. I'm not going to wait for
the world or a label to tell me I'm this. I'm gonna let you know I'm this right now and let you catch on. So in making my album and me being in this music industry for 11 years now, I was like, I understand where this is going. The era of, you know, the person pulling up in the big gold limo with his foot out, ready to step and change your life, that's over. The idea of celebrity is over because of social media and because of how quick you can catch a viral moment. There's no true celebrities. So it's also adapting with the times and knowing that, okay, if I want to build something sustainable, because as much as I love the craft, I also want this craft to work for me. If I want to build something sustainable, then I got to create the success. I can't wait. There's no handouts. I got to create this, and I got to stay consistent with it. So in 2020, well, we're in 2026, but at the time it was 2024, 2025 when I was putting together this album. I said, what's the 2024, 2025, 2026 equivalent to selling out the trunk? You know what I mean? Selling your tape out the trunk.
Direct to consumer.
Direct to consumer.
Yep.
Direct to consumer. And then on top of it, it's like, well, I'm going to price my album at a higher price than the typical album. So like I'm gonna disclose that. You know, I had my album priced at $25. My album's for $25. Which is fair. Which is fair. You know, shout out to my dad. I had a conversation with him. Originally I was gonna make it like $10. I was gonna still make it $10. My dad was like, listen, he's like, if this is for you to be niche, if this is for you to gear this towards the people that you know support you, he was like, then allow them to really support you. He was like, people go out and they spend $30 on liquor, on a drink. He was like, they can pay $25 and then get more on top of it. Because it's not just like hey, I want you guys to pay all this money towards me. And then it's like, no, you're getting things that no one else is going to get.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I can keep adding more things. So if I decided I want to build a product, if I decided I wanted to make my own line of Game of Go boards to go with my album and I wanted to sell that, or not even sell it, I wanted to make it part of my release. You spend $25 on Even, you get like 5 additional pieces.
Yeah.
Which justifies why it's even that price. And then you own it all. Which means that if you decide, if you know, there is no subscription to Even. You just get on there, you get the album from your favorite artist, you get more for it, and it's just like it's a better bargain, honestly, if we're even talking from a business standpoint.
Yeah, and you're gonna see it's gonna evolve, right? This album did this one. You're gonna figure out other stuff of how to enhance the experience. Like, and I love the fact that you're charging $25 an album, because why not? Because $25 is $10 10 years ago.
Yeah, we're in 2026. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It's hard out here, y'all.
I walk out of my house and I spell $100. I don't even know what the fuck I'm getting.
By accident.
By accident. Like, what the hell?
You gotta literally lock yourself in the house so you don't spend that now.
You spend $25 with you, you're getting art and you're getting an experience, and
art experience exclusive. You get to see the process, and people, you get to be immersed,
and they will
in
pay
this
for
world.
it. And they will pay for it. People. And I've been telling people that come through here from a business standpoint, the new business model is experiential. People will pay you if they can walk away with an experience. If you're coming at them with the old cookie cutter bullshit, you know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, we've seen this before, and you're gonna charge me $50? No, but I'll pay the $50 or the $75 or $100 if it's something I've never done before. It's got it leaves a memory, right? And exclusivity, and it's just great because it's funny. Facebook started as what made them different from MySpace and everyone else was exclusivity.
Yeah.
You got to get through me, and then boom, that didn't matter anymore.
Yep.
The fact that exclusivity's always been something that has value to it.
Because let's be frank, people are nosy. Most of us are nosy.
Of course.
When we get left out of something that we feel like, well, why wasn't I a part of this? It's human psychology. You naturally, even if you don't know you want it, the intrigue now is kind of like, well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm interested now because like I also didn't know. So I love that you said that, because that was another method that helped. I feel like helped the initial sales of this album. When I made the release party exclusive to the people that we invited, and then I'll do you one better. It wasn't a traditional release party. We made it silent headphone.
So you really immersed into the into the album.
Like, you still walking around. You still was interacting with people. We had activations, the activities people can do. But when it was time to listen to the album, you were all immersed in the same experience. Whereas normal people, the album release is at a club. It's loud. people are talking. People might spin a record or two. No one's actually listening.
There's no real connection.
There's no real connection. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
gave people an actual connection. The thought of like, oh, I got invited to this. I got invited to this. It's silent headphone.
Yeah.
All of this, like the entire experience of that night and what followed, I felt like was enough to make people be like, I want to support this because I now feel part of this journey. And they are. It's not even a feeling. I've made them part of this journey. I brought people along for this ride, and I brought them into this world now, the gray area, you know what I mean, where there's a theme and there's a why, and people can understand that clearly. All of that helps. And like you said, once people feel all of that, they feel part of it, they feel invested in it, their emotions are now attached to it.
Money's really not an object.
Pulling out money is just like,
as long as you're
I
reasonable,
mean?
$25 is reasonable.
Yeah.
$50 is reasonable, but yeah.
I think most artists are, like you said, they're scared of that because that fear of what if nobody supports it. But I also think that's something that you have to be real with yourself with. You know, well, if you decide, hey, I want to put my record out for payment behind this paywall and nobody buys it, well, then now you understand that you were dealing with not actual fans, and you got to get out.
Yeah, and get a fan base.
Get a fan base. You know what I mean? It means you may have been maybe spending too much time behind that internet a little bit much, in the illusion of the internet, and maybe the likes and the follows and all that stuff you get wasn't translating. And me and my team decided we want to see how this translates in real life. Like,
correct.
I've done so much things in my career that has been more real life based than social media based, that you can look at my social media and you see I have a following, but it's not like, it's not tens of thousands, it's not hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
It's only a few thousands, but you see my career translated into real life. You see the people that interact with me. You see the respect I get. You see the rooms that I actually have entered or have been in, and you're just like, well, he's been in some really big rooms and spaces and been around some really people that really respect him. It's because I've always kind of prided myself on actually doing this what I feel is the real way, which is getting out there, word of mouth. Yeah. I don't care what year we're in, James. I think that is always going to work.
Yep.
Because everything else changes in life. Everything else switches.
I'll tell you right now, word of mouth, referrals, I don't care what technology is. When your best friend or someone you trust tells you to try something, the best ad, the best post, the best whatever will never fill that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my boy. I trust him.
Yes.
I'm going to go give it a shot.
Yes.
Whereas, you know, you get bombarded with ads. You're like, leave me alone. I don't even know who the fuck you are.
Or like you said, if you see somebody in person and you still have a good conversation, in 2026, yes, you guys, that is still the most effective thing to get anybody to be invested in whatever you're doing.
What we're doing here.
That's what we're doing right now. You know what I mean?
Talking
you're having a conversation, and prior to this conversation, you know, you may have been aware of the information about me, but you're able to see, you know, me talk. I'm looking you in the eye, and we're able to have a real conversation, and you're just like, okay, this kid, he may have something going, in a way that you may have not known if I just messaged this to you.
Yeah, I purposely, when I have the guest on here, like, I do I want to know who you are, obviously, but a lot of people will go in and zero in and find. I like to know who the person is, see what they're working on, and that's it. And then actually authentically learn about you now.
Yeah.
Right? And I have no preconceptions, no pre-notions of who you are, what you do, what post. No. That's what keeps things authentic. And that same thing works with music and whatever, and if you're an actor or whatever else. But Klassik, this has been a great conversation.
It's been an amazing
Yeah, I mean, we've been all over the place. Get to learn about you. Rag on the tech companies a little bit, even though we still love you. But, we love. Don't worry. I'm trying to figure out how to do things without the internet. We'll see how that works out.
Well, this AI and stuff right now, man, this thing is getting pushed on us even more right now.
I know. The Terminator's really going to happen. But, brother, thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Pleasure.
Peace.
Yes, sir. Go get somewhere in the gray area. Out
That's
now.
Right. Oh, wait. Even. Hold on. Don't. Like, no, that never happened.
All right.
Where can they find your stuff?
They can find my stuff on Even, somewhere in the gray area, by Klassik Poet. Is out on Even. Upon purchase, if you buy it, you get all bunch of additional content not available anywhere else. It will never be available anywhere else. So please go ahead and get that. And we got a lot more stuff out. The Escalators video is out now. We got a lot of cool things to put out that drives the release. So
there you go. Now it's officially over. We're out of here.
Let's wrap it up.
Later.